Hello, hello, welcome, and it's Samir back here with one more Facebook Live. Um, if you are joining live, type in 1 in the comment. If you are joining the replay, type in 2 in the comment, say hello. Again, this is Samir back here on Facebook Live, and we'll be talking about messenger bots. We'll continue our education about messenger bots. I'll continue to teach you how to use marketing messenger bots. And in today's Facebook Live, we will be talking about using growth tools. We'll be talking about how to drive traffic to your messenger bot. Hey Carl, I see you are here. Thanks for stopping by. And so we'll continue our talk training about messenger bots. And today I'm going to jump into growth tools. It's not enough to just build a messenger bot, right? We need to figure out a way to drive traffic to the messenger so that the bot can engage. You might have the best bot in the world, but if you don't have traffic to your bot, then it's not useful. Yeah, so Carl is saying when you talk, I listen. Thanks, Carl. So if you have questions, Carl, you go ahead and ask them. I'm kind of happy to help you out if you have any questions. So like I was saying, you need to figure out a way to drive traffic to the messenger bot. And in the bot lingo, in the technical term for driving traffic is something called growth tools. Those are the different means or mechanisms through which we can drive traffic to messenger bot. And what we'll do is I'm going to switch to the screen sharing mode because I like to kind of show you how it actually works. That's the whole idea behind this trainings, that we do it kind of hands-on training, get into the details and go through each and every step of what I'm talking about. So if you have been following, then you know that we use a platform called ManyChat.com. You can try that out if you haven't. And this is a sample bot that we have been building. So it's a Facebook page name is called TestBot, and that's what we have been using. We have hooked up ManyChat with the Facebook page. And so far we went through some of the navigation items here. So on the left-hand column is where the navigation items are. We talked about dashboard, audiences, live chat. You can, if you want to know more, you can pick up other videos that I've recorded on my timeline, on my personal timeline. And now we will jump into the growth tools. So I just clicked on the growth tools, and as I was saying, these are the mechanisms through which we can drive traffic. So let's kind of start with a new growth tool. So I'm kind of clicking on the top right corner. I just clicked on that blue button. And when you do that, it shows you this kind of the gallery of widgets. So it says choose widget type. There are two types of widgets, two groups of widgets it's showing: overlay widgets, embeddable widgets. So widgets are little things that you can put on your website basically. And when people click or interact with those widgets, which are mostly the buttons. Widgets are mostly buttons that you can place on your website, and I'm going to walk you through one example today so you will have a very clear idea what it is. And when people click on that, they will be taken to the messenger, and they work very well for your website. So if you have some traffic on your website, then it makes sense for you to use widgets there in order to divert that traffic to messenger. So hopefully that makes sense. So let's pick So we're going to start with the first one, right? I want to walk through all of them one by one. So let's pick the first overlay widget, and it's called a bar. So I'm going to click on that, and it's loading that. So first of all, I'm going to give it a name. It's overlay dynamic widget. So this is nothing but the top bar or ribbon that you might have seen on the website. On the right hand side here you can see the preview of how it will look. You can get both mobile preview as well as the desktop preview. There is a preview kind of selector here. You can choose that. I just switched to mobile preview. It's on right here next to the save button. So this is how it looks, and you can change the headline. So what you want to do is this ribbon will appear on your website, and along with the button, like you can see the preview, there's a headline and a button, send to Messenger button. If people click on the button, they'll be taken to Messenger, right? So what you want to do is you want to give people a reason to click on that button. This is something I've talked earlier, but it is the idea of a freebie, something of valuable for free, right? You want to offer something that is valuable to user, that is of interest to your target user. You can offer them for free here. It's often called lead magnet or an ethical bribe. Those are the terms used in industry. But basically, you have to give people a reason to click a button, right? I mean, why should I? If you are the visitor, you would wonder that why would you click the button? But if the site is offering something of value for free in exchange of you clicking the button, then you might. So definitely you want to think of what's the reason that I'm going to give this person to click that button. So we have been kind of using an example of a free guide. So I'm not going to spend like a lot of time, but I'm going to say something like I'm going to keep it simple so that we can kind of make progress and I can show you more steps. So I'm going to say click the button below to get a free guide. Okay, so let me kind of keep it that for now. So that's the title, and here you can so this is the area where you can edit this widget. There are 4 tabs here: initial state, submitted state, opt-in, actions, and setup. So I'm going to go through them one by one. To begin with, it will be on the initial state. So the first thing is allow to hide bar. So you want your users to be able to hide the bar or not, right? That's what it is. I think you should always allow your user to hide the bar if they don't want to. You want to be less intrusive, as less intrusive as you can be, right? You don't want to kind of force upon things on the visitors. And keeping that in mind, I'm selecting that allow to hide bar. Now the button type, there are 2 types of buttons. Send to Messenger button, which is what you see. This is the send to Messenger button, which is a default button title. You cannot change this title of the button. It will be fixed send to Messenger with the send to Messenger button type. The other button type is with checkbox. And so as soon as I switched, there is a message here. This is the message by this tool, ManyChat. It says, be careful, Facebook has introduced a number of limitations for checkbox. Check our help article. So you want to be careful with this button, that's what it's saying. And I definitely advise you to check that article out. It will list out the details. But the thing with the checkbox button is that you can change the title of the button. You can say that get my free guide, You are not stuck with the send to messenger button. You can change the title. And that matters. That matters in terms of user experience, that matters in terms of conversion, because if you have the appropriate button title, then that will attract people to click on it, right? So it is important. But the drawback of this option is that it comes with a checkbox, the send to messenger. And this button will not be active unless that send to messenger checkbox is checked off. So that's the drawback. It's a two-step process now. With the send to messenger button, there's just one button and they have to click it. That's all. But with checkbox button, they have to check off the checkbox, then the button becomes active, and then they click on the button. Hopefully I'm going to show you in action on the site as well. But let me cover the other things here. I'm going to go really slow here, and you know, there's a reason, because I want to go through all options. And some of them could be boring for you, but maybe if you are watching the replay, then you can skip the parts that are not relevant. But I'm trying to cover all the steps. That's why I'm going to go slow. The colors should be kind of self-explanatory. You can, so let me try to change. That's the background color here, right? See the color of ribbon. You can choose, you know, whichever color you feel like. It shouldn't be too flashy, but I think the color should be the color of the ribbon background should be in contrast with the button. If button blends with the ribbon, then the button is not visible, right? So that's the idea. So I'm going to stick to this color for now, you know, just to play with it. So that's the background color. Then the button background, headline, and button text, right? You can change all of that. Now checkbox skin. So let's see what's happening. There are two options, light and dark. Okay, so I see. So when I selected the dark checkbox skin, the checkbox kind of disappeared. It became white. I don't know why I would have expected the otherwise, right? But if I select the light checkbox skin, then it's showing the black text here. It's not, so far it's not very self-explanatory to me, but I don't know, maybe it makes sense to you. So now this are the attributes in terms of displaying the thing. When does it display? So you have some options here. By default, it says it will display at 30% scrolled. That means it will only display once the page has scrolled at least 30%. When you start scrolling, when you reach 30% mark, that's when it will start display with this option. But you're not stuck with that. You have different options here. You can choose immediately, means you can start showing the ribbon as soon as a person lands on a page. Or you can do it exit intent, means the ribbon or the bar will only be shown when the person is about to exit the site. The percentage scroll I just showed you, you can change the percentage. You can do less percentage, more percentage. When scrolling to an element with target ID. Now this is more for developers. If you are not tech savvy, this will not make sense and you can ignore that. But on the web page, different elements, different buttons, different images, different elements basically can have ID associated with that. So you can select the bar to show up when the user scrolls to a specific element. We can target the specific element based on the ID, right? So that's the idea. So you can control that. You can control that. Okay, only show the bar when person scrolls up to an image, something like that, or a video or something like that. So hopefully that makes sense. The last one is the seconds have passed, the time lapse, right? You can start showing the bar after a few seconds. that may be very useful, and that may be a typical case. Because what you want to do is, if person is interested, then person will spend some more time on the page, and that's when it might make sense to show them the bar, right? So that is something you definitely want to test with. And I'm just talking about all of this, and I will be switching over to kind of actually using this, but kind of bear with me. Let me go through all the things here, and then the last setup step is where I'll be actually showing you on a website. So the next item is show widget to same user again after. So the other thing is, once a visitor sees the bar or the ribbon, when do you show the person again, right? Like if the person visits in the future, do you show that thing or not? That you can control here. So one option is never, means you show visitors your bar just once, and then means once the visitor kind of visits the site and they see the bar for the first time. And if you choose this, then let's say a visitor kind of spends some time on your website and then leaves, and if they come back, they will not see this button again. I mean this ribbon, this bar again. Always means it'll always be there. You know, if visitor comes back, they will always see the thing. Or you can set the time again, hours or days. You want to test this, like whether to put a time gap in between visits for the bar to reappear. I think this, I'm not sure, this is not, in my mind, like, you should test and see different combinations, but the next one is more important. That's what I'm trying to say. If manually closed by a user, show after what, right? If a user closes that means user is not interested, it kind of is a bit annoyed by that, very likely. Then what do? You definitely don't want to show it again, right? You don't want to choose always. I don't know why the option is there, but maybe in some cases it will make sense to show them again even if the user closes that, but that's not a good user experience. I mean, having been visitor myself, that would not be a good experience, that you can tell, perhaps. So at least use some time gap here. You can choose never, but I don't think, I mean, people might be receptive to your offer in the future, right? So I think you should not discount that forever. Just because someone closes that doesn't mean you never show them. I think just put some days, some time gap, and show it again. That's my suggestion. Definitely you want to test it out and see how that works. So what I'm going to select immediately for now, because I want to show it in action. Hopefully in this video, if not in the next one. But I'm going to select immediately for now. Show the same widget to the same user. I'm going to keep always, just for testing purposes. I'm going to keep like immediately, always, and always. Because the idea for me is not to kind of check the behavior. Idea for this video is to show you just how to do this, how to get started with it. So that's the initial state. Means initial state is how the ribbon will, or the bar will appear initially. So I'm going to click next here, and it will take me to the submitted state. I don't know. Okay, there you go. So submitted state is how the bar will look once the person clicks the button. Okay, once the person clicks the button, how it will look. Now this is something I've talked earlier. I'm going to repeat. What's happening is now user has clicked the button, right? Means user is visitor. When I say user, I'm talking about the visitor of your website. That means very likely the visitor is interested in whatever you are offering. Remember, we have call to action. If I go back to initial state, I'm saying click the button below to get a free guide. That's the call to action. That's the offer. Incentive for them to click the button. So when they do click the button, that means they're interested in the free guide. Very likely, right? I mean, people might be just testing buttons, but very likely they're interested in the free guide. And we are delivering the free guide on Messenger. Because if you remember, the whole idea behind this widget is to drive people to Messenger, right? Because we want them to start interacting with our bot. We want them to subscribe to our bot. So now the user has an interest and has started a journey. They have taken an action. That means they have started a journey, very likely. So the way you think about the process is you should try to guide and help user along that journey. So what is the journey about? The user journey, visitor journey is about getting the free guide. They want the free guide. And how will you make it easy for them to get that, right? So the free guide is getting delivered in Messenger. So when they click the button, we have to remind them that your free guide will be delivered in Messenger and we should be sending them to Messenger. If they already have Messenger app installed on their mobile device, and if the notifications are turned on, they will get a notification, but they may not. Similarly on desktop, if the Messenger is open, if a Facebook tab is open in the browser, they will get a notification, but they might not have the tab open. So in that case, that's where this button is helpful, because this is the button that will take them to Messenger. It will open the Messenger app on mobile or desktop. So it says view it in Messenger. And also, the title should be, you should thank them for taking action, right? So always kind of thank user for taking action along the journey and guide them to the next step. So I'm going to say thank you for requesting the free guide. Go to Messenger to get it. Something like that, right? Thank them, remind them what's the next step. So you can kind of decorate that. You can change, show new message, or redirect to URL. Actually, you can take them. So there are two options here. You can either show a new message. That's what I did. I just came up with a new message, the thank you message. But you can also redirect them to URL. You can take them to a different page, right? You might have prepared a page which thanks them, which kind of guides them, or which does something else you want them to do. Like you might have a video, thank you video. You might want to talk a little more about your free guide, something like that. So you can redirect them to URL, and then you'll enter the URL right here. Open this URL. If you have that URL, then there are different options. You can open that URL in a new tab, or you can open that URL in the current tab. Wherever initially the bar appeared, you can have the new URL open within the same tab. So you can choose that. I'm just going to stick to new message, and I'm going to go next. So next is opt-in actions. Okay, so let's see if I can explain this more. So the thing is, now the user is expected to be on Messenger. We do our best in order to guide them, direct them to Messenger, because that's where we are delivering the free guide. But let's see, there is a caution message here, right? So let's read that. Be careful. By the new Facebook rules, a user becomes a subscriber only when they reply something by pressing a button or typing. Okay. So I mentioned this earlier. Just like a newsletter subscription, bot also has subscription. People become subscribers of the bot, and actually bot can only send out messages to its subscribers. So it's in our interest that people become subscribers to the bot. Because bot can only send messages to subscribers. Bot cannot send messages to non-subscribers. So in order to kind of fully get the benefits out of bot, which will only happen if bot can engage with people, we will need visitors, users to become subscribers. And how do visitors and users become subscriber to the bot. That's what they're saying here. By new rules, a user becomes bot subscriber only when they reply something by pressing a button or typing. When they end up on Messenger, if they reply to if they press a button or if they type, then they become the subscriber. So we want them to do that on the initial screen of Messenger, on the initial message of Messenger. We want users to either type in something or press a button. Due to that, ManyChat can't subscribe a user to a sequence on opt-in directly. Please add at least one button to your opt-in message and use an action on the button to subscribe to a sequence if needed. Okay, so they're saying you cannot. So they're talking about sequence subscription. So there are two types of subscriptions here. This is something I've covered in earlier videos, but it's something worth repeating, so I'll be repeating many times. There is bot subscription, which is similar to email newsletter subscription, right? Where you can opt in to an email newsletter and become the subscriber. Similarly, you can become bot subscriber. But then there is within the bot environment, within the Messenger bot platform, there is something else called sequence subscription. And then we'll cover later, and don't worry too much about that right now. But you will see as we cover other growth tools, there will be an option of subscribing people to sequences here. But here they are saying you cannot subscribe people to sequence until and unless people are subscribed to the bot, right? So they are saying first make sure, all this message is saying, first make sure you get people to, when they initially land on Messenger, you want people to take action, either press a button or type in something. So the opt-in message, right, here is this opt-in message, the default opt-in message. That message, the purpose of that message should be to incentivize people, visitors, to either press a button or type in something. Okay, so that's because if they do that, then they will become the subscriber. But even prior to that, the purpose of the initial message should be to help the person continue along the journey. Remember, I was saying visitor is on a journey. The goal of that journey is to get that free guide. So the first message that you have, which is the opt-in message for this growth tool, overlay dynamic widget growth tool, which is the first message they see on Messenger when they land on Messenger, it has to serve two purposes. First, it has to help user along the journey of getting that free guide, so it should talk about that. The other is it should prompt user to press a button or type in something so that they become subscriber. Because only if they become the subscriber, then only the bot can continue to engage. Otherwise, it cannot. So keep those two things in mind. You can edit this message by clicking this edit button here. From ManyChat.com, you have unsaved changes. It will be lost. Are you sure? So it's saying you haven't saved stuff. Whatever, like we change things in initial and submitted state, right? So it's saying save those first before you start editing. So I just saved those things. And then I can go here and edit this message. So this is the message editor. And we will be using this a lot. This is not it is message editor, but it is also a kind of conversation flow editor. Bot is all about conversational flows, right? With bot, what we are doing is we are defining conversational flows that will take place between the bot and the user, visitor. So it has two modes, okay? This is the basic mode. You can switch to something called Flow Builder mode, which is here on the top right corner. You see something called Go to Flow Builder. And I prefer that because it's more visual. So I recommend you click on that and you get there. So there you go. Now, this is the opt-in message. This is the first message. Like I said, this message has to help user along the journey. So far I said this message has to serve two purposes. I said it has to help user continue along the journey. It should get the user to subscribe. But there is one more thing. It should also set clear expectations. So this is very important message. This is doing very heavy lifting, right? It's kind of, it has to cover three different things. And it's almost half an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here and I'm going to continue from this step in the next video. So we'll kind of talk about how to craft this opt-in message in the next video. Again, this is Samir. In this series of Facebook Lives, I talk about how to build marketing messenger bots for your business. And if you're catching me on replay, type in 2 in the comment. Say hello, ask questions, share this with someone else you might know. Otherwise, I greatly appreciate you watching this, giving it a try. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll be back tomorrow. Okay, bye.